Okay, is it just me, or is little by little Deku turning into Superman? Because chapter 283, that ending, float, fam. He's floating on the haters right now, because holy cow, this chapter of My Hero Academia, you're getting to see the carnage. You're getting to see what everything that they put forth to try and stop Gigantomachia kind of went in vain, essentially. So you get to see that. You get to see Shigaraki once again. Yeah, beastly guy. You also get to see the aftermath of some of the stuff of what he's done, and it's still not over. The fight ain't even over yet, but you're starting to see like, oh shit, look at Eraserhead down there on the floor bleeding. Oh shit, look at Gran Torino down there. He's still not dead. Why isn't Gran Torino dead yet? I'm just saying. Deku on his Superman shit, like, yo, All Might was an incredible dude. All Might, he did his thing, but Deku, when it's all said and done, and we're still not there yet, unless we get a rushed ending and all of a sudden Deku learns the remaining quirks in this arc, we're still not at the end of the road yet. But it's starting to look like by the end of all of this, Deku is going to make All Might look like Minnie Mouse. Because the amount of quirks, powers, it's just gonna be ridiculous. Let's talk, baby. Let's get into some of that My Hero Academia greatness. We're floating on the haters, baby. We're floating. Let's do it.
I say we gonna do what we do, no matter how you move, make your move. That's how it be, though.
So the chapter opens up with the students of UA seeing the carnage that was left behind by Gigantomachia. And like I've said it before, I'll say it one more time. Their efforts were not in vain, because they're definitely in some reflecting mode at this point, because now Gigantomachia and the rest of the league have, of course, you know, set course and they're on their way, and they left behind, you know, these heroes and whatnot. And yeah, you can see that they're feeling regret. They're wondering if their choices were made correct. Like, you got Mineta there talking like, damn, did we make things worse or whatever. But as I said before, I'll say it again, the serum is going to kick in at some given point. It is going to be long-lasting thing in a sense, or a down the road type of help in terms of the anesthesia kicking in. This is a giant dude. This is a huge monster. If you've just seen some of the panels in the last few chapters alone of how big this dude really is, yeah, it's going to take time for this tiny little vial to kick in. So it is going to help, probably in the most vital point possible, because the way I'm looking at it right now, I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't think that this arc is going to last much longer. I feel as though what's going to happen is either, especially where we're at right now, and don't worry, we're gonna get into everything, the battle with Shigaraki versus Deku and whoever else is going to help at that particular point is going to be interrupted. Either Shigaraki is going to be on his, like, you know, final straw, about to get his ass kicked, you know, the end of it all, and then Gigantomachia is going to show up and rescue him. Something along the lines of that is going to happen. I think that's why the separation of them two has been put in terms of the narrative, in order to keep it so that, yeah, it's going to be maybe Shigaraki needs Gigantomachia in order to save him, and that's going to be the breaking point of whatever's going to happen, whether we're going to get a time skip of training, which I think that would be dope. I think that would be cool, because it would also leave room again for Shigaraki to be, if Deku is the protagonist that is growing, and we might even see as an adult, or at the very least a time skip of him older, Shigaraki is going to be the villain that is growing, and we're going to get possibly a time skip and see him older. Like, I see it going down that route. Don't quote me, but like, even with the league on you know, Giganto's back, if their leader is down, if their leader is completely washed, yeah. But going back to the beginning of the chapter, the UA students, they're even wondering like, yo, they left us alive because we weren't even considered worthy as enemies. And that shit, like, damn. I mean, hey, they were in a rush. I think like they're overlooking the fact that Gigantomachia, and they don't really understand that he was in a rush, and it's not like he was, you know, trying to spare anybody. It's just like, get the fuck out of my way. I need to get to Master ASAP. I don't care about none of you guys. It doesn't matter right now. That's #1 priority. So I think it's more so that they were in a rush to get to Shigaraki, opposed to just not giving a shit about these dudes. And we get the hero, Majestic, enters this chat because he seemingly comes and he's like getting the students of UA, and he's putting them on these like spheres or something, and he's seemingly taking them or coming to their aid and whatnot. Yeah, I mean, with all the heroes being in the midst of this entire battle, I guess Horikoshi had to figure out some way to have like the older, because at the end of the day they're still students, right? You still need the older people, you still need the wisdom to come in, you still need somebody to come to their aid, their rescue. So yeah, Majestic. And also just quickly to touch up on one more time the stuff with Mineta saying like, yo, did we make things worse or whatever. You know shit's bad when the little creepy pervert that he's mostly used for comedic relief is actually like talking some serious shit. You know things have gone really down the shithole in My Hero. Things is like dire when Mineta ain't cracking a joke, and it's more so like, damn, if Mineta's stressing out and Mineta's really scared and shit like that, we got issues, folks. He's not chasing panties right now. What's going on? Then we cut back to the famous doctor, Dr. Robotnik, Dr. Maruta Shiga, or whatever they ended up calling him, because I never learned his new name. But yeah, the doctor, and he's basically running his mouth. And he's like, aha, you thought you had us, but it was really us, Shigaraki in the league. Because he basically is running his mouth saying, hey, you almost had us, but Shigaraki waking up has kind of saved us and switched, turned the tides. And I mean, yeah, that's kind of what we've been witnessing. Like, if anything, a lot of this chapter up until towards the end maybe was just recounting what we already know, and also kind of regurgitating some information. Like, yeah, we know Maruta Shiga, we know Shigaraki changed the entire course of what the hell was going on. We did get a little bit of information that I don't think was clarified yet regarding the fact that the Nomu were actually modeled after Gigantomachia, because he's praising Machia and shit like that. So finding out that the Nomu were modeled after him is interesting, because at first, and there's the whole theory of that Gigantomachia was the dude that actually attacked Mina, and it kind of made sense when we seen Red Riot and all of that shit, whatever. But for the longest time I had thought that Gigantomachia was just like a perfected Nomu. So to find out that it was actually the opposite, that the doctor modeled the Nomu after Gigantomachia, it would make sense why he's like this perfection of a creature, and all of them have kind of gotten their asses kicked in one form or another. Yeah, and man, that panel where he's like, total destruction is inevitable, and you see Shigaraki again, like, you can tell Horikoshi loves drawing Shigaraki. Every time we get a Shigaraki panel, especially these last handful of chapters, probably last 10 chapters, every time there's a Shigaraki panel, it looks really dope. Man, I gotta praise the art, you know what I'm saying? I cannot forget to praise the greatness that Horikoshi has been drawing. Then we come back to the heroes. We see Todoroki, him explaining why it took him a bit to catch up with everything, because he had to leave ice behind to kind of cool down people that got their asses kicked and all of that jazz, which it's just giving clarification as to what happened and whatnot, because I'm still fully all in. Like I said in my last video, I'm going to say it again. It's going to probably be Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki, with potentially him sharing One for All against Shigaraki, because I'm still not convinced. Like, the ending of the chapter, we're gonna get into it or whatever, but things is complicated. On top of that, now Shigaraki has access to all of his quirks, all of his powers. Like, it's not gonna be that easy. So Todoroki being on the battlefield now, it was for a reason. They held him off for a bit. Now bringing him in is like, the finale of this shit is approaching. We even see Aizawa bleeding and shit like that. Like, yo, when the anime gets to this point, fam, seeing this carnage, this mayhem that Shigaraki has caused, it's gonna be insane. Shout out to Rocklock, by the way, because Rocklock sees that Deku is distraught there, very upset, and he basically tries to tell him, yo, my dude, run. Run away immediately, because he knows, like, yo, Deku, you about to do something stupid. And seeing that shot, oh my god, that was one of the best drawings. Like, don't get me wrong, I love me my awesome Shigaraki art, but Deku, hands down, and that angry face that he had, he gave me some vibes of like Gon from Hunter x Hunter when Gon went bonkers against Neferpito. Like, that's the type of vibe Deku is giving off right now. Like, he ain't gonna show an ounce of mercy against this dude Shigaraki, because again, like, look at everything that has happened, not to mention everything prior that is already on his mind, that hey, his favorite hero of all time, All Might, was put out of commission because of Shigaraki's sensei, so to speak. But then, Gran Torino, Aizawa, Mirko, just everything, the town, like, he's pissed. And we see one of the weaknesses that I feel is going to be the detriment to Shigaraki, and on top of the battle against Deku and possibly again Bakugo and Todoroki, I think the big catalyst to Shigaraki's defeat and how Gigantomachia is going to need to come and save him is the fact that he's falling apart, because part of his body just like starts bleeding out and slashes and shit, because you gotta remember, he was not complete. When he came out of the tank, it said 75. They even give us a refresher of a panel showcasing the tank being at only 75%. And he didn't even realize it up until that point, because he even asked, wait, what date is it? And he looks concerned, because now it's starting to, you know, come to him that, oh shit, a big problem is that I am not complete. The operation wasn't 100% a success, which, yeah, it should have dawned on him, like, hey, if it was complete, you would have got out of the tank and there wouldn't have been any heroes hunting your ass down, fam. Like, yeah, they fucked it up. We see that Merkel's still barely alive. That's a good thing, at least. Like, yo, with all the destruction, all the carnage, all the battles and shit like that, like, on one hand, don't get me wrong, it does feel a little bit like, wait a minute, so Gran Torino is seemingly alive. We see Gran Torino at the end of the chapter. Merkel's still alive. She's injured, but Merkel's still alive. Aizawa's still alive. So, you know, a lot of the things that we preconceived are like, yo, there's so much death going on and shit like that. The characters more so just got severely injured. Like, maybe Gran Torino might still bite the big one and whatnot, but it seems as though, like, a lot of them are surviving. And at the same time, with Aizawa, it's like, yo, it's going to be a lot harder for him now. He's not going to just be like the goofy, zany teacher. Like, he's missing a fucking limb. So, you know, there's the argument there of like, yeah, maybe they're not dead. Maybe they're, you know, surviving. Well, minus Crust, you know. F in the chat for Crust. But, you know, they might not be dead, but their lives are impacted forever. But Shigaraki says, fuck all that noise, and he says, whatever, Hypergen is still working, or Hyper Regen, because, you know, his regenerative ability eventually heals up whatever's going on, but how long is that gonna last? Like, you know, there's going to be the big downside. That 25% would have made or break him. Like, he would have been like a godlike, unstoppable being if it was 100%. That's why the doctor is like kind of still, you know, 50-50 on it, like, hey, you know, we turned it around, even though, again, that's going to be at his downfall. Like, if he had the hyper regen that was 100% complete, I don't think anything they threw against him would have stopped him. But the fact that, like, yeah, he's trying to bullshit his way in his own mind, to be honest with you, like, oh, well, it's still working, you know, one touch should do it. But I think it's clearly foreshadowing that's going to be at his disadvantage, and again, a part of his downfall. But we get to the end of the chapter, the hypeness. Deku uses Black Whip to lift everybody off the ground, and he is floating. Gran Torino recognizes, he's like, yo, that's not us, Quirk, which, Gran Torino, why are you alive? But he's floating, and yeah, the final bout is seemingly approaching, because he says, up here is where I'll beat you, I swear it. And the chapter ends off. And again, like, Deku is turning into Superman. He's slowly but surely getting ability after ability. He's going to be very, like, again, at the very end, I'm 100% certain he is surpassing All Might. All Might simply had strength. He did not have access to all of the powers from the predecessors of One for All. Deku does. And I'll argue here, like, let's build this argument. I'm curious what some of you guys think about this. For starters, him using the Black Whip, right? We know when he first used it, it was just like a bloop, and then he didn't have control. I would throw the argument that he did learn somewhat of it when he trained with Endeavor. I think the training with Endeavor definitely helped Deku to kind of harness that power, that ability, the Black Whip. So I'm gonna give that. But it is a little bit interesting of Deku. He's using Black Whip and he's using the float quirk. I do think that to a certain degree, in order to wrap this bad boy up, this arc, Horikoshi is kind of pushing the barrier just a bit of how much of a grasp of these powers Deku has. I want to say maybe in the next chapter or two, Deku's probably going to do some comedic like, whoa, you know, because he shouldn't have a complete grasp of float, just like it took him forever to learn One for All, and it took him quite a bit to seemingly, I don't think he has it mastered yet, but he's using it very well. Like, he's simultaneously using two quirks right now. He's using the Black Whip and float. So there's something to argue there in terms of, like, he's learning this shit really quick and he's doing it really well. So yeah, but man, seemingly the final brawl, Deku versus Shigaraki, I still don't think that it's going to be Deku alone. I don't think he can take him alone, even with that 25% disability that Shigaraki has right now. No, fam. No. But I'm curious what a lot of you guys thought about this chapter. For starters, Deku using another one of the predecessors' quirks, float. What do you think? Him using that with Black Whip, you think that's going to be enough, along with the strength quirk from One for All, to take down Shigaraki? How do you think? Because, like, even the way this is all going to end, right? Like I said, I imagine that Gigantomachia is showing up. Maybe a little bit of a battle is going down. He recognizes that Shigaraki is completely incapacitated or incapable of continuing the fight. He's going to grab him and bounce with Master. But What do you think it's going to be? Is it just going to be that Deku alone puts in the work? He's pissed off right now. We've seen that he's very angry. Or is it going to take a little more than that? Is it going to take Deku, Bakugo, and Todoroki, like I've been theorizing, to put Shigaraki down or put him at bay enough for him to have to retreat? Also, again, the quirks, the multiple quirks. So you feel as though it's like pushing the limit of like, damn, Deku's learning this shit pretty quick considering the first ability it took him forever to kind of get a grasp of. And how do you think this is all going to play out moving into chapter 284 and beyond? No chapter next week, very big bummer, but man, talk about a way to leave us hanging. This was that ending, fire, absolute fire. A lot of the chapter was like, you know, kind of retreading some of the stuff that we already knew, reminding us about Shigaraki's weakness, which more so now that I think about it, considering we're seemingly going into the final battle of all of this, them reminding us of the 75% thing. I think that's going to be a big issue moving forward into the grand finale of Shigaraki versus everyone. But that's all I have for this one. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you liked anything I had to say or enjoyed the video, drop me a like. I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, make sure to subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram. Hit that bell to get all notifications. And if you want to follow any of my other social media, links in the description below. I'm ForneverWorld, and as always, people, have an awesome day. And remember the golden rule: anime and manga for life, boy. Have an awesome day. Peace in, and this shit is intense. I can't wait. No, we gotta break 2 more weeks. Oh.
It's nights like this.